He's used to taking his time. And when he pulls the trigger on that, and now they got all this time to play with it, to tease it here, add there. People saying, well, when are they? It's like we're talking about, when are they going to pull the trigger on Sammy?
Going back to the Royal Rumble, I do want to echo what you said, like praise to Triple H for how he booked the men's Royal Rumble, in that there was a lot of setup of stuff, like you were saying before, setup of matches. Off the top of my head, you had Gunther starting off at number 1, and number 2 was Sheamus. So following up from their great match at Clash at the Castle, and those two kind of being the anchors are the kind of the dictators of the entire Royal Rumble. Sheamus going nearly 50 minutes in the matchup. Him and Drew McIntyre, the formerly known as Banger Bros, had a bunch of eliminations. Gunther actually eliminated both of them, so they could be teasing maybe possibly a triple threat with those guys. You had Gunther have a stare down with Brock Lesnar in the matchup. You had Brock being eliminated by Bobby Lashley, following up from Brock screwing over Bobby Lashley on Raw 30 out of the United States Championship. You had Seth Rollins and Logan Paul, when Logan Paul eliminated him. You had Logan Paul and Ricochet with their big spot that's going to be on the highlight reel for WrestleMania for years to come. You had Edge making his return and going at it with Judgment Day. Judgment Day screwing him over and getting him eliminated. You had Rhea Ripley attacking Edge, and then Beth Phoenix making her return and spearing Rhea Ripley. So they could be teasing maybe a mixed tag match for Elimination Chamber. Then you had Dominic Mysterio coming out right after Rey was supposed to come out, and they kind of teased that Judgment Day jumped Rey Mysterio, and Dom came out with the Rey Mysterio mask. So they were doing some building there because Rey got injured on SmackDown. He wasn't able to be in the actual Royal Rumble. So just off the top of my head, that's like 5 or 6 matches for either Elimination Chamber or WrestleMania they set up in this 1 hour and 11-minute Rumble match.
Well, they proved another thing. Wrestling fans don't forget. They don't forget nothing. That's why we have so many questions. Well, why did they do this? And why did they do that? Doesn't make sense. But they brought it all together. They said, don't forget that Sheamus and, what's his name? You just said it. I've been hit on the head.
Sheamus and Drew McIntyre?
Drew. They remember that match. So when they were out in the ring, now they have a dynamic between them that they could reach in and flip the switch on it at any time. And Ray and the kid, they can switch it at any time. All those things you named are separate entities, and it can lead back into a month-long angle anyway. It can start here and end in the next pay-per-view. It can do that. But at least now they have bench strength, and they build it from within. They didn't send them to like spring training. They said, we got them. Let's start telling the story, build on the story slowly. And after a while, the wrestling fan sitting there watching it, he doesn't see exactly what they're doing. But after a while, I said, oh, yeah. Now it clicks in their head. Now it all comes together. And that's actually a good feeling when they're understanding what is happening and how they're doing it. It is probably one of the greatest booked matches I've ever seen. When you consider 30 different entities in a match, and it came off like it did. Okay, the stare down between Brock and Gunther, how did that go?
They just had a brief stare down. The crowd reacted pretty good to it. Then they had a little exchange, but then Bobby Lashley came out right after Brock Lesnar, and they had to do the angle with Lashley and Lesnar. It seemed more of like they were teasing that this could be either WrestleMania soon, or they can do it down the line. I think they're more pushing the Lashley and Lesnar at this point, and especially with Gunther being the Intercontinental Champion. Even when the rumor came out with Gunther and Brock at WrestleMania, I didn't think it was the right time, because Gunther as Intercontinental Champion and Brock, he's not going to have a match for the Intercontinental title. We know Brock Lesnar. He does not have a championship match for anything less than the world title. So I think that it's not the right time right now, but maybe if they come back to it in the summer, it'd be the right time for me.
Well, by watching all this and hearing all this from you, I don't think you're going to see Gunther and Brock for a while, because he's used to taking his time. And when he pulls the trigger on that, and now they got all this time to play with it, to tease it here, add there. People saying, well, when are they? It's like we're talking about, when are they going to pull the trigger on Sammy? We knew they're going to do it, but we didn't know when. Now they can do the same technique on Gunther and Brock. So when it finally gets there, finally when dessert is served, now the people will be ready for it. See, there's an old saying, you can't shoot the angles too soon, because the people don't understand it. It hasn't had time to, like baking bread. The bread hasn't risen to take it out. It's not ready. So I don't know what's so hard to understand about that, but when that happens in wrestling, it's usually by young, inexperienced bookers. See, I learned from the old timers. Take your time, take your time, take your time. Because you can't speed it up, but you damn sure can ruin angles by shooting them too soon. And when you shoot it too soon, it's already gone. Now you don't even have that to go to. So great job
then,
WWE, and I'm proud of them. Because I've always pulled for them, you know, let's go WWE.
You're always in their corner. The next thing I wanted to ask you about, two more things, is the Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt had his Mountain Dew pitch black match with LA Knight, which was basically just a laser tag meets a rave with Bray wearing some paint that glowed in the dark. LA Knight had gear that glowed in the dark. They had a lot of neon in a table spot that just went everywhere. In the end, it ended up being a 5-minute match. Then Bray attacked LA Knight on a stage with a huge stand platform, and Uncle Howdy came off the platform with like a coffin drop onto LA Knight, and then all the Firefly Funhouse characters came out. Me personally, thought it was good visually, but it was not a good matchup. And this comes off the heels of, you know, your friend The Undertaker having a moment with Bray Wyatt on Raw 30, seemingly a passing of the torch moment. Bray says he's never going to tell anybody what The Undertaker whispered to him in that moment. But do you think that Bray Wyatt is the right person to kind of be this Undertaker, new character, new aura to him with WWE after this passing of the torch moment? And what do you think about the fact that it seems like a lot of people feel that Bray Wyatt is a then the bell rings type of wrestler? He's good, he can build up an angle very well, but then the bell rings and these matches don't really deliver the quality that you're looking for from a top babyface like he's being positioned.
That match disappointed me. And this is why. I think when you depend too much on outside influences and gimmicks and lights and Uncle Howdies, and when does it, I mean, to me that disinterests me, really. I mean, and it's a short match anyway. He's the gimmick king anyway. He's got all kind of gimmicks to go to. But these are fairy tale characters. I mean, when it gets time to get into the ring and actually do something, he failed this test. He failed it big time. And when Uncle Howdy showed up, I don't think Uncle Howdy added anything to it at all. And that's the problem. See, Undertaker could go. Undertaker, he had the flash, but he could get his ass beat for a while, and then he could set up. Now here comes the people. We haven't seen Bray. Who's going to beat Bray? I mean, if he can all of a sudden summon these extraterrestrial or extra earthly beings or whatever, I mean, we may even see, and I think this doesn't go unnoticed to Paul. I hope it hasn't, but I don't think a lot of people were happy with the ending of this match. I don't know where it leaves LA Knight. I think he was like demolished. Now, what are they going to do now? So now he has to look for another opponent. Right? I think LA Knight's done with him. What's he going to do to him? Run up there with a flamethrower and set him on fire?
They already did that. They already did that with Randy Orton.
Well, they can do it again. But I'm saying, now when you have to really, I learned this from old time Booker too. He says, when you're booking a card and you write a name down and you have a hard time putting him with somebody, it's time for the guy to go. It's time for that talent to move on. You're not, and in the old days, you just didn't get let go and with no place to go. The bookers would pick up and they would say, hey, listen, I got so-and-so here and he's been here too long. Can you use him? And the guy said, well, yeah, maybe. But they would have you a place to go. Maybe not your perfect place, but he would get you a spot to go. But you had, especially in the old days, you had to keep talent fresh because they saw it almost as much as we were seeing it on SmackDown earlier this year. It's the same guys, the same matches, and after a while, it just all blends in and nothing's unique. Nothing's different. But I don't know where Bray Wyatt can go from here. And LA Knights, that wouldn't be my problem because I think you could do anything with him right now. But where's Bray going to go? I mean, where's LA Knight going to go? He has to restart it. He slapped him a time or two. That was it. That's the only thing offense I heard that I know that he got on him. So where do they go? So now they're going to have to sit down, and that's where your problem comes in, when you have to sit down and really think about where to go with a talent or a character. I think that's, and I'm sure they have ideas, and I'm sure Bray has ideas. So we'll see. Let's see if they surprise me with it. I hope they come up with something good, but who is Uncle Howdy? I mean, they can always go to him, but
yeah,
again, he doesn't. I'm not that interested in Uncle Howdy as a fan. But all this other things that went on within the Rumble itself, I am interested.
And
that card books itself.
That's the final thing I wanted to talk about was the Women's Royal Rumble with the Judgment Day's Rhea Ripley going from number 1 all the way to the end, setting the record for the most time in a Women's Royal Rumble match and winning the whole damn thing. The other highlights from the matchup was Asuka's return in her original Kana face paint and persona, the kind of the more evil, more sinister side of Asuka returning, and it was a nice refresh for her look. You also had Doudrop became Piper Niven, going back to her NXT UK name. You also had the return of Nia Jax at number 30. Unfortunately, I don't know what the production team was thinking, but her entrance music started playing before the countdown clock started, so that was weird. But overall, it was a pretty good Women's Royal Rumble match. But what do you think about Rhea Ripley on our way to WrestleMania? And she has an interesting choice because right now the SmackDown Women's Champion is Charlotte Flair, the woman that beat her back at WrestleMania 36 for her NXT Women's Championship, a woman that she's never beaten. And then on Raw, you have the Raw Women's Champion, Bianca Belair, who, if she makes it to WrestleMania, will be a full year as Raw Women's Champion, and is kind of this person has been parallel Rhea Ripley's entire career, and a lot of people feel they could be like the female Austin and Rock of how they can like build from NXT to the main roster to the main event of WrestleMania.
Well, that to me only has positive results, positive dividends. I think she's proven herself. I think and I like the idea of bringing a talent through your own developmental system and having them go up. Because before Vince, I don't know what it looked like to me. Vince was just warehousing talent. I mean, if you're there for 5 years and you haven't even sniffed the main roster stage, I mean, they're telling you something. I mean, if you can't learn this business, actually the working part of it, in 5 years, then you need to get another job. They need to release you or do something with you. But a lot of times, how many talents go through NXT and never even go to a Raw? A lot of them. I mean, I think they have too many anyway. How many can you train at one time? But I do like that idea. And it actually gives NXT, it elevates their status. If you can come from there and end up where Rhea Ripley is right now, through NXT, and if you plant a seed in anybody's mind about anything, it's always going to be there. NXT, if they have a few more people come through there, it's the maker of champions. So if they start pushing that idea that, you know, NXT is more than just a developmental center, it's the maker of future champions, I think that not only helps WWE, it damn sure helps NXT a lot. Let me ask you this. Where does NXT do? I'm in Florida. Where do they run live shows here?
In Orlando at the Performance Center. They call it the Capitol Wrestling Center. It's like the arena at the Performance Center.
Okay, they don't really go out to any of the surrounding towns and do a few shows?
They do house shows and live events during the week, but Tuesday is when they film at the PC.
How do their live events do?
They do small arenas, so like 1,000 to 2,000 in attendance.
Well, how many did you say? 1,000?
1,000 to like 2,000 in attendance.
Well, damn, that's a hell of a little show if they can do 1,000 people. I mean,
well,
anyway.
They do those type of buildings. Sometimes they will draw like a few hundred or so.
Oh, that's better. Yeah. Because you independents, if you could get a show up to doing 500 to 1,000 people, that's a major accomplishment, really. And with no more than NXT. I mean, they're not on local TV here at all. So that's how, you know, like the old Memphises and the old Charlottes and the old Florida, you know, you'd go to these little surrounding towns and, you know, sometimes really do pretty good. But I think they need to, it helps NXT a lot, and it helps the talent to think that they can go there. And I think before, a lot of NXT talent were thinking, nobody's watching us. I mean, we're just here doing this every day. And believe me, if you're just working out every day and doing exercises, it gets old quick. Really, really quick. And the only reason that the regular people can do it is because it's a new crowd every night. But you're getting paid and you're going out there and you have pretty good attendance. But to go out there in the Performance Center, think about this. You get up at 8 o'clock in the morning, you got to be at the Performance Center at 9. Yeah, come on, let's do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, do some push-ups. Oh, let's go run. And you're thinking, what the hell? I'm just in damn fitness class. And come out here, take this, take this. How many times can you do that before you say, damn, I'm tired of this? Because they're not going to let that out because they don't want to broadcast it, but that's actually what it would feel like. But if they think now we have a chance, and I'm sure they feel that way anyway, or they wouldn't be there. But I think it helps the whole image of NXT more than they are giving it credit for right now.
Probably so, for sure. And you see the improvement. They had NXT talent in the women's Royal Rumble match in Indy Hartwell, Zoe Stark, and NXT Women's Champion Roxanne Perez. They got the NXT Vengeance Day event, which is going to be in Charlotte, North Carolina, kind of their first big major show outside of Orlando, outside of last year's WrestleMania weekend. So they got some stuff going over there in NXT for sure.
Oh, good. Who is that talking?
That's my daughter.
What's her name?
Harlem.
What's her name?
Harlem.
Harlem. Well, tell her I said hello, and tell her all the people, they heard her, and tell her hello.
Dutch and all the people say hello to you. She's been trying to take my light away from me and try to be seen on camera, but she doesn't know where the camera is.
She's trying to hijack the show. I say, how old is she?
She's 2, but she's already a 3-nager. She's already in her 3.
Terrible.
She's like a few weeks away from being 3.
Well, terrible 2. So anyway, well, congratulations. And we got any more to say about this show?
No, we could wrap things up, Dutch. Let the people know where they can find you.
Don't we have the Wrestler of the Year contest coming up?
You are right. We have the Sportskeeda Wrestling Awards, the Sportskeeda Wrestling Awards, the Sportskeeda Wrestling Awards, the second annual edition of the Sportskeeda Wrestling Awards. You had a controversial take saying that you wanted Gunther as the male wrestler of the year, and you have people talking. I think you were 1 year off. 2023 is Gunther's year.
Well, and then we're going to pick Wrestler of the Year and Female Wrestler of the Year, Tag Team of the Year, because that's got to be Usos. And let me say right now that I'm saddened by the death of the Briscoe brother, Jay. Very sad. I met him one time, and I talked to Jack Swagger this week, and he met them for the first time the same time I did. We were in Puerto Rico on a little run. And very nice guys. I'm very, very saddened over his death. And I hope how's his daughter coming along?
His daughters are actually doing a little bit better. They've been getting more and more better news as days have gone on. I believe his daughter Gracie has feeling in her lower extremities again. So, all the prayers, condolences, and our thoughts to the Pugh family. Of course, people can donate to the Pugh family at giveandgo.com. I will probably tell the producers if they can put a link in the description if they take this part, because, definitely feeling for the Pugh family, because they're going to have to spend a lot of money with just the hospital bills for the daughters being in the hospital right now.
There's no telling how much that hospital bill will be. It's probably in $1 million at least, I think. Anyway, my condolences to the family and friends. And hate to hear stuff like this, but that's life. So good luck to them. So are we ready? Are we done?
We are all done. Thank you, Dutch.
50 minutes already. So just think of all the people driving, listen to our bull crap and saying, well, that went by fast. And I'll say it again. This is how wrestlers talk going down the road. They bitch back and forth and argue and complain. But really, if you're starting out in the business, that's how you learn. That's how I learned. Because now one guy pitches, and they didn't even know I was listening, but I was listening. So, but we'll be back next week, and on Friday night, 11:05. That's usually when we come on. Rick will be with us, and he's in San Antonio, right?
He's having a good time. He was at the Royal Rumble. He did a bunch of interviews. They can check it out on another channel, I believe, but that is for another time. This has been Smack Talk with Dutch Mantell, talking about the WWE Royal Rumble 2023 show. We are signing off until next time.